only because we live such a short time. He reassesses his vow to remain constant despite time's power. There is nothing new under the sun. Hi everyone, welcome back to John Florio channel. I am Mary and I'm here to talk about John Florio. Today I want to talk about a less known topic that connects Shakespeare, Bruno and John Florio, that very few scholars have discussed and will change completely your view on Shakespeare sonnets. You should know that Giordano Bruno was not just a philosopher, an astronomer and a dramatist. He was also a poet. When he lived at the French embassy in London from 1583 to 1585, Giordano Bruno wrote many sonnets. He was, like Shakespeare and Florio, a poet. These sonnets were published in Heroici Furori and On the Infinite, the Universe and the Words. Today I will show you how Giordano Bruno's sonnets had a huge impact on Shakespeare sonnets. So much has been said about Shakespeare sonnets. They are not just beautiful and fascinating, but they also seem to contain personal secret stories about Shakespeare. Many scholars throughout the centuries have tried to uncover this secret, the key to understand them, and thousands of books have been published and continue to be published every year. But today I want to make a difference. I want to show you something new, how Shakespeare sonnets are hugely influenced by Giordano Bruno stuff and Giordano Bruno sonnets. But before we start, if you're new here, don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, leaving a comment or liking the video. But now let's start. It has been suggested the Shakespeare sonnets were written between the 1590s and 65. In those years, Florio was under the pay and patronage of Henry Rosalie, the third Earl of Southampton. In this video, I want to show you that in the sonnets, Shakespeare intentionally displayed that he had begun to accept the new radical ideas of Bruno, that of an infinite universe, the transmigration of the soul, the art of memory, the heliocentric theory. Those theories that Bruno explained and published when he lived at the French embassy in London with John Florio. Now, in the sonnets, the most substantial evidence that Shakespeare believed in Bruno's revolutionary ideas can be found in the sonnets number 14. That we can compare to a Bruno sonnet found in his book On the Infinite Universe and the Words. Notice that Bruno writes his sonnets in what today we call Shakespearean style. There are two important subjects. First, Bruno states clearly that the idea of the enclosed firmament and the crystalline spheres is nonsense, as he fears no crystal barrier or glass. Second, the entire purpose of this sonnet is that death is not the end of an infinite soul. Death does not frighten Bruno. If more proof is needed that Bruno does not fear death, he is quoted as saying when his death sentence is passed, "I await your sentence with less fear than you pass it," because he believes that he will see other worlds and other stars when he dies. This leads to Shakespeare sonnet number 14 and what reads as Shakespeare's most personal statement in regards to his acceptance of Bruno and rejection of Ptolemaic tradition. "Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy." Shakespeare does not look to the stars to make his decisions. In lines 3-8, Shakespeare mocks the common beliefs of the old views that the weather, luck, and even the fates of royalty that people thought were controlled by the stars. Then Shakespeare uses Bruno's theory of the infinite soul to explain where he does derive his knowledge. "But from thine eyes my knowledge I derive." The eyes were, according to the traditional proverb, the window to the soul. 2 lines later, Shakespeare says that truth and beauty shall together thrive, which taken with line 9, is an expression of Bruno's line from the Heroic Frenzies, in which he writes, "The intellect desires to know all of the truth in order to grasp all that is beautiful in the intelligible world." Shakespeare's intellect, with which he derives his knowledge, desires that truth and beauty continue. Truth and beauty, according to both Shakespeare and Bruno, reside in the infinite soul. The line that may get passed over but is crucial in understanding the message of Sonnet 14 is line 2. "And yet, methinks I have astronomy." I read this line very differently before reading the works of Bruno. It is a bold, clear statement that Shakespeare knows the traditional astronomy and yet does not hold with it. In this sonnet, Shakespeare announced that he's not speaking here of astrological fortune-telling or superstitions or the making of prediction. He is writing, "I am skilled in astrology." In the sonnet 123, Shakespeare remarks another important topic of Bruno, that of the infinite cycle of life. The poet repeats an idea from sonnet 59, that there is nothing new under the sun. The poet here plays with the idea of history as cyclical and with the proverb, "There is nothing new under the sun." If we could go back in time, he writes, he could see how the beloved's beauty was prized in the distant past and thus judge whether the world had progressed, regressed, or stayed the same. Bruno was obsessed with the infinite cycle of life. In De la causa principio et uno, Bruno writes, "Quid est quod est, ipsum quod fuit, quid est quod fuit, ipsum quod est, nihil sub sole novum." What does this mean? What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. And guess what? John Florio in 63, in the preface to the reader, in his English translation of Montaigne, says, wrote, "If nothing can be said now, but has been said before, as he said well, if there be no new thing under the sun, what is that has been? That there shall be." And he said that was the wisest. And in the sonnet 123, Shakespeare repeats the same topic. He accused the time of tricking us into perceiving things as new, only because we live such a short time. He reasserts his vow to remain constant despite time's power. There is nothing new under the sun. Finally, in Shakespeare's sonnets we find many expressions in which individuality, both spiritually and bodily, is based on composition, in the same sense of Bruno, life's composition. What is your substance, whereof are you made? This composed wonder of your frame, when I perhaps compounded am with claim, although in me each part will be forgotten, to set a form upon desired change. From Bruno's atomistic theory, it follows that nothing disappears completely, that nothing exists absolutely and permanently in the same conditions, but changes and gives birth to other lives in an endless cycle of life. And this is what Shakespeare remarks in his sonnets. What I want to make clear is that Shakespeare's sonnets are not many fine things said unintentionally. On the contrary, he was fascinated by the language that, as Bruno wrote, captures the voices of the gods. This has been proven beyond reasonable doubt. Second, the Shakespeare was well educated in the views of the cosmos, both with the old Ptolemaic and with Bruno's heliocentric infinite universe and the endless cycle of life. Before I cited what Bruno said when he was sentenced to death, "I await your sentence with less fear than you pass it." The next line, however, is what I would like to end this video with. "I await your sentence with less fear than you pass it. The time will come when all will see what I see. Bruno's infinite soul can rest because Shakespeare saw what he saw and immortalized it in beautiful verse. Stay resolute. Bye.